The Meze 105 Silva fixes nearly every issue I have with the lower-end Meze 105 Air and the higher-end Meze 109 Pro, and it might be the best open-back Meze headphone for most people at under $1,000. But that is not why I bought this one. I bought this one because at Can Jam, while I was trying out some IEMs, my wife walked over to the Meze booth, sat down, and decided to try these out. Now, she is not an audiophile. She is just married to one, and she knows enough about Meze to know that I own a lot of Meze headphones. So she was like, hey, I'm going to check this out. When I got to the booth, she took the headphone off. She looked at me dead in the eye and said, you're buying these. I asked her, do you think I should have them? And she said, no, these are for me. I've never seen her do that with another headphone. So I did. I bought them, and here are some thoughts. Hey folks, I'm Norb, and I have a background in both classical music and user experience design, and Meze was planning to send me these for review, but, well, I guess I beat them to it. I did buy this from them at a discount since it was a used unit, so there is that. Still, product links are in the description if you are at all interested, and transparently, clicking those helps the channel out even if you don't buy anything because it lets them know that you're watching. Meze is a company out of Romania that makes high-end headphones. The 105 Air, the 105 Silva, and the 109 Pro are their open-back options under $1,000, with the Air coming in at $399, the Silva coming in at $499, that's this unit right here, and the Pro coming in at $799. I've reviewed both of those in the past, the Air and the Pro, so I'll put links in the description and at the end of the video, but here is what you need to know. Out of the three, the Silva is my favorite in both sound and presentation. Is it the most analytical? No, that is the Pro. Is it the most relaxed? No, that is the Air. But if you're going to pick one, or if you're just looking for your first and last fancy pants set of headphones for under $1,000, for most people, this is what I'd recommend. So what comes with a Silva? Unboxing it is the usual Meze experience. It's nice, it's minimal, and it's high quality. The name Silva comes from the Latin and the Romanian word for forest, which is fitting because the ear cups are black walnut wood paired with a radial grille. The whole design draws from the mid-century modern movement. Think clean shapes and natural materials sitting along modern ones. The build follows Meze's standard architecture, a stamped manganese spring steel headband with self-adjusting strap and silk alloy hardware overall. Inside the hard case, you get a dual twisted Kevlar-wrapped copper cable, which is a massive upgrade over the 105 Air's cable and has basically zero microphonics. Now, microphonics are the sound that you hear when cables rub up against your clothing and you can hear them in the headphones. As a usability fan, I do wish that Meze Audio had kept a little physical nub that is on the cable for the 105 Air. Now, that indicates the left versus right connector, which is useful if you have vision issues. Also note that the headphones plugs in the 105 Silva are recessed, but that also limits your cable options some. I really like the cable, so no complaints from me as I don't plan switching it out, but I know a lot of you like your own cables. You also get a 6.3mm adapter and a USB-C to 3.5mm adapter with built-in DAC. It works perfectly as a backup or travel solution. So basically, as an Apple dongle equivalent that is longer, it also feels more secure than the Apple dongle. It doesn't feel like it's going to snap off or break at any time. It's actually pretty well built. Best of all, every part of this headphone can be replaced by you at home with standard tools. The Silva weighs in at 354 grams, which is about 20 grams more than the 105 Air. Now, this one is all plastic. There's no wood to this one, so that is part of the weight differential. The Silva headband strap presses down a little bit more also than I like to at first, but it does loosen up over time. The clamping force is also well judged for most people, although it is a bit tighter than the 105 Air. My wife, who complains about clamping force with headphones with nearly every headphone that I've ever put on her head, she's had zero issues with this one, which speaks volumes. Now, I have big ears, and sometimes my ears do rub up against the baffle. That's the little bit of fabric that covers the driver. It is not a big issue, but it's not something that happens when I'm using the 105 Air. Still, they are comfortable. The ear pads are velour over technical foam, making them very soft and breathable. Ear heat has never been an issue for me with these. The bottom line, the 105 Air, it is the more comfortable of the two headphones for long days, but the Silva is comfortable enough that I would use it as a daily driver without much issue. Let's get to the sound, and here are just my general impressions, though I will compare the Silva to both the 105 Air and the 109 Pro throughout this. Starting with the Silva itself, it is responsive, it's clean, it's relaxed while still being precise and well-defined. It has a 50mm titanium-coated carbon fiber cellulose driver, which is tuned to be crisp and fast with a focus on speed and clarity. Now, when people say that, clarity, they usually mean that the headphone sounds a bit thin or sterile, but that is not the case at all with these. It is still a lot of fun with good bass and a bright treble that doesn't get too peaky. Basically, it's a refinement on the Meze house sound. For some people, this sounds too loose and too relaxed, soupy even. And while I can understand that when it's said about the 105 Air, I don't think it applies to the 105 Silva. The Silva has more body, more clarity, and more life. The bass in this one is physical. It's present and it's full in the mid-bass region with a good slam. It does roll off in the deeper sub-bass registers, which is expected with an open back headphone, so that is the first thing that I would EQ if I was EQing these. When I use it with a source that can't produce a good bass response, the Silva really comes to life. I can actually feel the vibration of the double bass when it's plucked. I can feel the slam and the rumble of the low end in everything from electronic to orchestral music. A good example of this is Lo Que Le Pasó a Hawaii by Bad Bunny, which is, it has a tuba part that really comes off well with these. Moving up a bit to the lower mids, this is where most human voices hang out and where most instruments get their start. This is lush and rich, making instruments and voices feel alive without being shouty. This area is definitely pushed forward in the frequency response, which is a big reason these sound so warm and relaxed. But this is quintessential Meze and it is done right. The combination of this region being boosted while still having the responsiveness of the titanium coated Taurus in the drivers give this a body in that region without it being a problem. If you love vocals, this is one of the real strengths of the 105 Silva. For male vocals, this headphone is exceptional. The disturbed cover of The Sound of Silence sounds incredible on these. The voice is forward without being shouty, and it has its own space, and the instrumentation sits clearly alongside it. As the song builds up, you really feel its power. The same goes for Avi Kaplan's Peace Somehow, which is one of my wife's favorite songs. That vocal bass sounds amazing on these. Female vocals do take a small hit, and I do mean small, as they feel a little crowded and the timbre is slightly muted, giving it more of a nostalgic speaker quality than a live concert feeling. And finally, of course, there's the treble. These are pretty smooth throughout and they provide a good sense of space and realism. With the Silva, the treble matures meaningfully over the 105 Air. There are some peaks that can get a little sharp up around the 10 kHz area, but the overall presentation offers great sparkle and airiness. Imaging is excellent, giving it a sense of space that lets you breathe inside the music. It is not quite as good as the 109 Pro, but it is pretty solid in itself. What surprised me with the Silva was just how good the timbre overall sounds. I don't think it's quite to the level of the 109 Pro. I think the natural timbre and presentation on that one are just top-notch, but it is definitely close and present while still feeling relaxing. If realistic timbre is your absolute priority, then I'd look at the 109 Pro or something else like the Focal Clear, which I think is the standard bearer for that. For some comparisons, starting with the 105 Air, the Silva is more analytical and tighter and more cohesive. What I mean by that is that the 105 Air is smooth and relaxed at the bottom, very lush, but it does spike at higher frequencies, which gives it a sense of air, but it doesn't quite match the rest of the frequency response. In fact, one big flaw in this one is that it doesn't quite have a very smooth treble. The Silva is way better about that, while also having more responsive and tighter and physical bass. Compared to the 109 Pro, the Silva is more relaxed, and I feel it just has more body. The 109 Pro has a beryllium-coated 50mm driver, which means that it's going to be more responsive than titanium, with a smoother presentation in the treble. This is great if you're looking for something that's more reference grade and precise. And while that is fantastic, I find that the 105 Silva just has a better overall body and physicality and general presentation of the sound, even if the Pro is better about both dynamics and separation. Moving on to sources, because that's important here. While the Silva sounds good with everything, this is a Meze headphone, which means that you can plug it into a toaster and it'll sound decent. Sounding good and consistent across sources is a core Meze audio philosophy. Source quality still matters though, and the Silva will pick up on that and will reveal it. And now I'll separate sources into 3 levels here. At level 1, You can plug these directly into your laptop or toaster. Don't plug it into a toaster, please. For the love of God, please don't. It might sound a bit jumbled and muddy on your complex tracks depending on the sound card, but it usually won't sound bad. It just won't sound its best. It might sound a little bit dull when it's really not a dull headphone at all. I'd argue that you should always favor the included DAC dongle, the 3.5mm DAC dongle that comes with the package, over plugging it into most computers for that reason. At level 2, you add a clean dongle DAC like the iFi GoLink Max or the adapter that Meze includes with these. Suddenly, you hear the separation that the Silva is actually capable of, and everything finds its own space. This is a sweet spot between price and performance, especially if you get something that enhances the sub bass a bit to get more of that physicality that these are capable of. Now, at level 3, you can plug it into something like the Chord Mojo 2. This is a significantly more expensive DAC amp. This is where the Silva really reveals its high ceiling, allowing you to EQ and boost the sub bass while smoothing out any treble peaks, especially above 10 kHz. But yeah, if you get the Silva, a good sub $100 dongle will be enough to power it and get you great sound. Anything above that is fine, but it is just bonus. For how this handles different genres, and this, by the way, is the part that I care about the most, starting with indie, folk, and Americana. If this is the type of music that you mostly listen to, the lush mids and the forward vocals make this the absolute best genre for the 105 Silva. If there's one genre that I choose to listen to on these forever, that would be it. Moving on to pop, it is magnificent. It is fun, it's lively, it has great slam. K-pop, J-pop, whatever pop, it doesn't matter, just perfect for this. Electro-pop, that actually works really well for this too. If you listen to things with a lot of deep bass, you may need to boost that area, but on the whole, the Silva performs very well here. Speaking of bass, hip-hop and reggaeton. And I talked about Bad Bunny before, but the Silva had me bouncing. The Silva rumbles, it slams, it pushes, it's exciting and full and powerful exactly where you want it and never thin. For electronic music, the Silva is mostly a great use case. Now, complex and spiky electronic tracks, those can get a bit overwhelming in the treble. For more subtle electronic work, that is relaxing and beautiful and fun on these. A dark horse in all of this is musicals and opera. I'm gonna clump them into one. This is a highly underrated use case, but these are great for this because the vocal focus serves musical theater really well. The timbre and instrumental issues matter far less when the focus is on the voice. When it comes to jazz, there I have mixed feelings. For laid back and warm jazz, the Silva's relaxed presentation and clear separation works really well. But for more complex and layered jazz, something like Pink Martini's rendition of Que Sera Sera, you might want something with better spatial qualities. This is where you would benefit from something like the 109 Pro. For classical, and I mean non-operatic, just instrumental classical, this is not the best tool for the job. Orchestral works need more treble and sparkle and deep bass extension than this provides. That is not to say that it is bad, but if you're going to listen mostly to classical, I would tell you to go ahead and go for the 109 Pro. For rock and metal, there is plenty of slam and a great concert hall feeling from those lush mids. But the treble peaks can make cymbals and snares sound a bit sharp at times. For most people, they can eventually get used to it. Some people just don't like it. And finally, of course, gaming. Now, I've plugged these into my PlayStation controller way more than I like to admit. These are magnificent for single-player atmospheric games like Horizon Forbidden West, which is my favorite is actually Horizon Zero Dawn. Forbidden West had better game mechanics, but whatever. You know what? Hit me up in the comments because I can talk to you about that all day long. You might want something a little bit sharper than this with sharper imaging if you're doing more competitive multiplayer gaming. So my take in all of this is simple. The Silva takes the warmth and the body of the 105 Air and adds the clarity of the 109 Pro and gives you a much more expressive mid-range than both. It's fun, it's forgiving of bad sources, it's warm and relaxing, and it's just easy to enjoy across a wide range of music. This is why I argue that this is the one to get. Get the Silva if you love vocals, especially male vocals. If you want something relaxed and fun that is still detailed, if you care about build quality, and if you want a headphone that sounds good with everything but scales with better gear. Skip it if you primarily listen to classical or if you demand perfect true-to-life timbre for analytical listening. In your case, I'd take a look at the Meze 109 Pro, honestly, finally. If you're debating on whether to get this or to get something better in the Meze lineup, the next meaningful step up from the Silva is actually the Empyrean 2 for open back or the Lyric 2 for closed back. maybe even the Poet, but I think that that's a little too mids forward. So that may actually not, it didn't express itself quite the same way as this one did to me. But the Poet is good. I liked it a lot. I actually kind of regret not buying it, but I might do that in the future. In all of these cases, we're making a $1,500 jump minimum. Transparently, I'm not sure the 109 Pro is a meaningfully better purchase than the Silva. It is just different in what might be very important ways to you. So look, I've reviewed a lot of Meze headphones, and I've reviewed a lot of headphones over the past, 5 years now? Some I've loved immediately. Some grew on me over time, and some I did not love at all. But of all the gear that has come through this studio, this is the first one that my wife claimed before I bought it, and she has good taste. What makes me sad about this review is that these are now entirely hers, which means that I'm just going to take and put this away. And since I've talked so much about the 105 Air, the 109 Pro, and the Poet, and the Lyric, here you go. Click one of these, enjoy your journey, take care.